What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another epicseven video, and today, guys, we're going to do the should you pull for our boy Charles here that will be dropping tonight later on. I believe he's going to drop at like 6 p.m. EST, if I'm not mistaken, on the time zone, because I believe 2300 UTC is 6 p.m. EST. If I'm wrong on that, let me know in the comment section down below, guys. But anyway, let's get into him. So he's a Earth Knight, and he is going to be kind of a an adaptation of Falcon or Clury, I would say. Like, that's kind of the most similar unit I can think of where you would put him in that role. He does a couple different things, though. So, first of all, I want to get off the rip that I don't think he's a bad hero. I don't think he's a godly hero. I don't think he's on the level of caliber to where he's like a Tamarine or, you know, to that level of a support character. I'd say he's like along the lines of like a Lytica character, where he's got a lot of good uses, but he's not going to be like the oh my god OP, you know, like DN, Tamarine, Angelica, you know, units like that. Even Luna now we've seen as far as the DPS role, but he's very, very good. Like, you could definitely use him in a lot of content in the game, and he's going to be a very solid unit to use. He has flexibility in both PvE and PvP, so you know, we'll go into his skills and analyze that, and then I'll kind of like go over where he's similar to Falcon or Clury, where he's different, and whether or not you guys should pull depending on your situation. So first of all, his skill 1 is going to be a 50% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn, and then a 25% chance to activate Smash. Now that is really, really cool, because he basically has an ability to trigger into his S2, and then I guess the effect would go up to 50% if the enemy is buffed. So if the enemy has a buff, then you basically are, so like for Golem, for instance, if like a lot of time the Golem has an attack up, so he would have the ability to basically 50% chance to do Smash. Now Smash attacks the enemy and then does an 80% chance to dispel all buffs. It does show you here maximum 100, so that means that will go to 100%. And then it has 1 target to dispel all buffs, and damage dealt increases proportional to the caster. So that's where he's got that similarity of Clury. Both him and Clury both have a single target strip of all buffs. So you can then get rid of his buffs. And then the damage dealt is proportional to the number of buffs granted to the caster. So the more buffs that Charles has, then the higher damage output he will have. So he does benefit having other support units, you know, maybe like a DN, something like that, or even, you know, Tamarine, where he's going to be able to deal more damage on his S2. And the fact that it does trigger off of this is a very cool synergy ability with his S1. So that way you can, you know, get multiple attacks in. You can go bounce back and forth. He does an attack break, and then he does a strip. So very good utility there as well. Now let's go into his S3, and his S3 is going to be an AoE attack and increases the attack of all allies for 2 turns. Additionally, increases the defense of the caster for 2 turns. And then when there are 3 or fewer enemies, damage dealt increases as enemies become fewer. I'm still not sure absolutely if his defense buff will trigger if there's more than 3 enemies, or if it will only trigger if there's less than 3 enemies, just because it does have a period here. So that does make me think that he is going to trigger his defense up on himself no matter what. So let's look at this unit. So he's got an AoE that gives all allies attack boost for 2 turns, which is very similar to DN and Tamarine, all those different units to do attack buffs for the party. But it has that on damage, which is very, very cool. And then he also gives himself some extra defense. So very, very versatile S3, assuming once we know how it works and everything like that. There's no kind of like debuff here, so you don't have to worry about any kind of effectiveness for his S3. He will have a cooldown, obviously, to a 4-turn cooldown. And so let's go into the unit as a whole. So where can he be useful, and where can he be you know, not as useful for Falcon or Clury? So here's the thing. If you have multiple ways of defense breaking, like say you're running Luna, say you're running another defense break unit, and say you're running like 1 healer. So your comp could be something like Luna, you could run Charles, you could then run maybe like Lytica, and then you could run maybe like Tangerine. So you're going to go with 1 defense break. Will that be enough? We'll have to see. You know, if you were to run that comp, then you would have Lytica as a, you know, a CR reduction, and then you would have Tamarine as a CR, you know, boost. So if you only need to armor break one enemy, if you're fighting just one enemy that you need to just do armor break on, and you can consistently control the flow of the combat readiness between the enemy and your allies, then that may be enough. If you need to run 2 healers, then maybe you need to run Tamarine and Angelica because you need immunity. And you then at that point would have to run Luna. And this guy, you may not be able to because maybe you do need 2 armor breaks. It really depends on how frequently you need armor breaks, I feel. That's where his kit is. He doesn't have armor breaks, so you need to fill that role. So that's where you would come into maybe Falcon or Clury may be a better spot. Now, I'm not saying he's never going to be a good spot. Maybe you're going to run Falcon or Clury and him, and then alongside with, like, Luna and Tamarine. So, like, I love that he's in the game, and I love that he's a new unit that gives us that option to take out things like Falcon or Clury, or take out things like a second armor break, like a Terraner Guard or something like that. Clarissa, Shadow Rose, units like that where you felt like you were forced into using them in those certain comps for certain content. And he gives you the flexibility of maybe running 1 armor breaker, maybe running 2 alongside of him. And then he brings some utility. He brings some attack break. He brings a debuff of a strip, and then he brings an AoE pump. So maybe you don't need to run DN, or you don't need to run Tamarine because he's going to fill the role of the attack buff. So it kind of really depends. Tamarine, I feel like you still kind of always want to run just because she just does so much. She has a strip, she has a heal, she has massive amounts of healing now with her buff, and then she has combat readiness. So I don't feel you really ever want to cut her in PvE content. I feel like she's just always good in some form. But this guy, definitely I could see you swapping out Falcon or Clury with certain modes. So it's really just going to depend on the content you're fighting. Now let's go into, is he worth summoning for? I think he is. I think he is to a point. But it really depends on your box. Like me, for instance, I don't think he's a unit you absolutely have to have 100% to where you need to spend 1,000 bookmarks to get him. Like, I don't think he's on the level of a Tamarine caliber unit where Tamarine really, really makes your Abyss Hell Raids and makes your Abyss Floors and your Hell Raids so much easier to accomplish. Now I feel like for instance, if you're a new player, he's probably a safer route to go than going through the grind of getting Falcon or Clury. If you can get him and okay, I'm going to spend 50 summons to try to get him. If I don't get him, then, worst case scenario, I build Falcon or Clury as a replacement type of character. But, it all really just depends on your situation and your play style and what you want to build. Like, do you love running just 1 armor breaker? Do you love running 2 armor breakers? If you're totally down where I just like running my Luna as my only armor breaker, then sure, he's a great unit to have because he's going to fill a lot of the roles that Clury does with the strip and all that kind of good stuff. Then he also adds that attack break. He adds combo attack, so he's versatility of outputting a little bit of damage. I wouldn't assuming that his, since he seems like a very utility character, he's probably going to be not like insane amount of DPS damage. Like for sure, he's not going to be doing crazy damage like Luna and Lorena do. But I still feel he's going to do decent, semi-decent damage. Probably similar maybe to like of a Shadow Rose. Shadow Rose has a AoE on her 3rd skill, and then she's got some damage on her 2nd and 1st skill. So, but you guys know Shadow Rose isn't like a main DPS unit. She's a debuff or utility, and this guy seems kind of similar as a debuff utility unit. So, point being, should you summon? He's honestly he is a skippable unit, but he's also a very, very cool unit to have and to have different options. So, it really depends on your box and your play style and what you're looking to build. So I'm not going to say he's a for sure skip or he's a for sure summon. I think he's kind of that in-between road of like, he could be very, very useful to you. And then he also, like for me, for instance, my opinion is I'm going to do 20 summons for him and then call it at that point because I do have a lot of investment in Falcon or Clury, and I do love using her in a lot of comps, and I have a lot of other heroes built to formulate my team comps. So he's not an absolutely must-have unit for my particular box. But everyone's situation is different, and I don't want this to have a lot of hate on it where I'm saying he's trash. I'm not saying he's trash. I'm not saying he's trash at all. I'm saying he's a very usable unit. You're going to find a lot of different ways to use him, but he's not going to be a must-have unit, I feel like, at the level of Tamarine, of DN, of Luna, units like that are very, very, very important to have of those kind of units of everything they bring to the table. So anyway, guys, that's going to be the video today. Hope you guys all enjoy. If you guys want to disagree with me, feel free to do that in the comment section down below. I always like to have all the different kind of feedback and criticism and stuff like that. I'm not 100% accurate always in the game, and I can miss things. I'm only human, so keep that in mind before you guys completely roast me in the comment section. But I look forward to the dialogue nonetheless with you guys. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button down below. Like the video if you guys did enjoy today's video. And I wish you guys all good luck in summoning. We will be streaming tonight. I'll be doing some raid. I'll be doing some of the side story, and we'll be doing a couple summons for him. I believe I'm summoning for a subscriber as well. So as long as that all pans out, we should have a decent showing hopefully tonight. And I wish you guys good luck in your pulls tonight. And until then, guys, your boy Fort Misery Gaming. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.